Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial I'll show you how to paint a forest scene with a faun in it. Of course you can also just paint the forest scene. And the colors I'm using will be on the left side of the screen. So we start with the background with a lot of light green and yellow greenish tones. And I spread the paint with a palette knife, just so the distribution is more equal. And then I start really spreading it out with the brush from the inside out, so from the lightest color and then towards the darkest color. I use two brushes actually, because I just needed a clean one. Sometimes there's too much paint already on your brush, so you can better just pick a clean one and start spreading and mixing the paints again. And I add some extra titanium white in the middle because I thought it was, it had become too yellow. So before I create the rest of the forest, I create the path, which I make from a mix of warm grey, yellow ochre and Van Dyke brown. And we start higher up with the lightest color, so a lot of warm grey, a little bit of yellow ochre and basically no Van Dyke brown. And then the lower you go, the more Van Dyke brown you add. I wasn't really happy with the curvature of the path, so it looks a little bit weird in the beginning, but that doesn't matter. Like, it's paint, you can paint over it, you can start again. It's very easy to make mistakes in paintings because you can just paint over it, or you can start again. And nobody has to see it. As you can see, I add some extra lighter colors in the upper part of the path. I use multiple green shades for the forest floor, and I start with the darkest, which is sap green, and I use a 1-inch brush, I think, and dab a little bit so there's also a little bit of texture visible and it's not just like one smear of green. And because of the lighter background, there will already be a little bit of like darker spots from the sap green and lighter spots from the background. And this is why I really like this dabbing motion. Like I said earlier, you don't just get a smear of green paint, but you get the texture, which gives off like the grassy vibe, and then you also have the background protruding through a little bit, and that also gives the illusion of grass. Dab and push up a little bit, and that way you get some grassy low hills. Also, don't be afraid to go a little bit back and forth between the multiple colors of paint. That way the colors become there's very gradual change in color. And for the last part, I pick up a fan brush because it's a little bit more precise than a 1-inch brush. I use the same colors as the background, or at least the darkest colors I use for the background, also for the trees far away. And in these trees, this particular tree, I put yellowish green on the darker side of the background and greenish yellow, which is a lighter, more yellow color, on the left side, so the lighter side of the tree. And for this tree I do it the opposite way around. I use mostly greenish yellow on the right side, so the white side of this tree, and I use more yellowish green on the left side, or the green side of the tree. For the trees a little bit closer, I used a darker type of green, olive green dark. And the reason I'm not using brown for these trees is because of the warm greenish light that protrudes through the trees. And trees always have like a little bit of moss and algae on them, so they appear green very often, especially if you also add a greenish yellowish light. don't forget to give your trees a few twigs, a few branches. You often see trees in a forest having only branches and leaves very high up, and the reason for that is literally because light often doesn't protrude very far into the forest, so those leaves wouldn't get light anyway. And don't make your trees like very rigid and very straight like wind turbines. The trees, they grow where the light and the nutrition and the winds and a lot of natural factors just push them. I think one of the hardest parts about this painting so far is finding the right balance between overlapping your trees and giving the forest a forest look and not just some park with a few trees, but not placing too many trees. That way you drown out your whole beautiful background. So now we get closer to where the viewer is and we can start using some brown. I use Van Dyke brown mixed with olive green and more Van Dyke brown towards the outside of the painting, so the darker sides of the painting, and more olive green towards the middle of the painting. For the trees in the little bit of the background, not the green trees or the light green trees, but the dark green trees, I put some extra yellowish green near the path, just again to emphasize that there's light coming over the path and shining upon the trees. And don't forget to give your trees a little bit of shadow. Again, I've been talking about the lights from the background a lot, and where light is dark. And where dark is light. You literally need them both, otherwise you can't let things pop out. For the leaves I use a 2-inch brush, and I use the same or roughly the same colors as I did for the forest floor, and we start again with the lightest color because those leaves are further back. You always start far away and then work towards you. So we start with the lighter, far away leaves, and we add darker leaves as we come closer. And you can use a fan brush, you can use a 2-inch brush as I just did. It's what you prefer. You can also use them both like I do because I don't know, I like the fan brush better. That's my personal opinion. And don't go over the same parts that you did with the lighter color, but also don't only cover other spots. Like, let a little bit of overlap exist, but don't drown out your light leaves. Don't cover them completely with the dark leaves. Again, you need both dark and light to create a little bit of depth in your painting. And I said depth, not depth. So for the Faun, which is a half goat, half human creature, I start off with a silhouette out of gesso, as always. And then I just start filling in its upper body. I actually always use titanium white, primer cyan, primer yellow, and a red tone for it, so probably carmine, as this gives off a little bit of purplish glow, and therefore a little bit of a cold skin tone. And I don't care about the limbs and the lights that much at this point. It's only a very small surface, so even though it's acrylic paint, which dries up very fast, you can probably still blend other colors into it. Not probably, actually, I'm pretty sure you can. For shadowy parts and to define muscles, I add more carmine and more primary cyan to the skin color mix, and this makes it a little bit more purple. And of course a little bit darker. You don't want like very lilac shadows, it's just a little bit darker purple, and then blend it well into the skin tone that you already had. By the way, if you have any questions, please comment them down below. I gladly answer them. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and for more tutorials you can always subscribe to my channel. If you want to, nothing is obligatory. So I want this font to appear a little bit older, and therefore I mix titanium white with a little bit of oxide black. Oxide black is really strong, so you only need a little bit, and some primary cyan for a bluish grayish glow. Like, if you just mix, there's nothing wrong with just mixing white and black, but I think the grays you get then are pretty bland. So I prefer to just add a little bit of purplish or bluish or greenish glow. Also the legs of the fawn I paint with a tapping motion and not my best brush, because the legs are hairy, and if something has structure, don't be afraid to show that structure. Structures are never really like a streak of paint. I don't know how to say it, but they're not really straight, so don't make it straight. And for the basket, I use different tones of brown than I use for the forest, just to make it a little bit distinct, also from the path. So I mix burnt sienna with burnt umber, which are both warm browns. And make sure to make the fronts of the basket darker than the side and the upper part, maybe, because again there's light coming from the background of the painting, not from the viewer's side. So in reality you would actually see probably even less color than in the painting, but that would be very boring. So I use warm grey for some extra highlights. This mixed with the burnt sienna can give a very nice orangey brown. And since this is an older fawn, I wanted to give him horns that I create from warm grey, titanium white and a little bit of oxide black. Normally I don't advise to use black for shadows, but especially with warm grey, if you add other dark brown colors or dark blue colors, they just get lighter and it gets too brown or too blue, at least in my opinion, so I use black for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you next week. Have a nice day or evening wherever you are in the world, and bye!